This story took place in a small village deep in Ukraine, where time seemed to have stood still. The summer here was short but bright, and every year the villagers prepared for it in advance. One of these preparations involved gathering berries that grew abundantly in the forests surrounding the village. A little girl named Lisa, a 7-year-old resident of the village, always loved going to the forest to pick berries. Her grandmother told her stories about forest spirits and charms that helped travelers find their way home. Lisa always carried a small charm made of antique lace and wildflowers. Her grandmother said this charm would protect her from all evil forces. One morning, when the sun had just begun to rise over the horizon, Lisa took her little basket and went into the forest. Her small feet confidently stepped on the familiar paths, and soon she found herself deep in the forest, where the berries grew especially abundantly. As she picked berries, Lisa suddenly noticed that it had become too quiet around her. The singing of birds and the chirping of crickets abruptly ceased, and the air was filled with an ominous silence. The girl looked up and around. The forest, which always seemed friendly and welcoming, now looked alien and threatening. Lisa felt her heart beat faster. She tried to find her way back, but each step was difficult. The shadows of the trees grew longer and darker, and the path she had taken disappeared. The girl continued walking, hoping to find a way out, but the forest seemed to mesmerize her, drawing her deeper and deeper into its depths. Soon Lisa heard a strange rustling behind her. She turned sharply but saw no one. The rustling repeated, and Lisa realized she was not alone. She felt an icy fear run through her body and clutched her basket of berries tighter. A figure emerged from the shadows of the trees. It was something resembling a human, but its face was distorted and elongated, and its eyes burned with a terrible red light. The creature moved slowly, making no sound. Lisa wanted to scream, but her voice stuck in her throat. The creature approached close enough for the girl to see its face. It was a person, or once had been a person, but now its face was covered with deep scars and sores, and its eyes seemed to look through Lisa, piercing her soul. Lisa stepped back, but her legs gave way and she fell to the ground. The creature reached out to her, and Lisa felt cold sweat run down her back. She remembered her grandmother's stories about evil spirits and monsters that inhabited the forest. But she also remembered the charm she always carried with her. Struggling to her feet, Lisa pulled the charm out of her pocket and held it out in front of her. The creature stopped, its face twisted in a grimace of rage, and it began to retreat. The charm glowed with a soft light, and Lisa felt warmth and confidence envelop her. The creature let out a blood-curdling scream and disappeared into the shadows of the forest. Lisa, trembling all over, clutched the charm to her chest and began to run. She didn't know where she was running, but she knew one thing: she had to leave this cursed forest as quickly as possible. Finally, she burst onto a familiar path and soon found herself at the edge of the forest. Her grandmother's house seemed like a real fortress, and Lisa ran to it without stopping for a second. Her grandmother met her at the door, worried and anxious, and hugged her tightly. Lisa told her about her terrifying adventure, and her grandmother, after listening, said only one thing: the charm saved you, dear. But remember, the forest holds many secrets, and it's not always wise to uncover them. Since then, Lisa never went into the forest alone again. She would always remember the day she encountered something horrifying and inexplicable, understanding that there are things in the world better left undisturbed.